Check 1 2. Quick reset. Here we are. Act 4. It's going to be a long one. I think you guys probably heard this enough. Act 3 lit the fuse. The affidavits were signed in a cold office in Clarksdale. 11 hours, 22 hours actually, of highway and rain. In a case that finally stood up on its own. Well, now the fuse hits the powder. People say confrontation brings closure. That's adorable. Confrontation brings clarity. And closure, if it shows up, usually comes late, way underdressed. Fraud doesn't just take from a balance. It steals from our rhythm. And this small business lives on rhythm. Roast cycles, shipping windows, payroll pulses. And when that rhythm stutters, and believe me, I alone cause enough stutter, we don't just lose money. We lose momentum. And our customers feel it as a slow reply or no reply. Our vendors feel it as held invoices. When are we going to get paid? And my family feels it as I stare at the screen like I'm just looking out the window, waiting for something. Well, Act 4, the confrontation, it starts with her messages. Yeah, her, Sharia. I did not see this coming. Never thought it would happen. My phone dings. I look down. And you know how you get a text message and it'll show you, like in your notifications, a preview. Like, here's what this text message starts with. You see about a line or two. This one comes from an area code I'm super familiar with at this point, 604. 604 being Mississippi. Hang on, I gotta check Google. I gotta make sure I even get that right. 604, let's see. What's in my mind? 601, here we are. All right, we'll start over. It was October 28th, and I get a text message. I didn't see it right away, as I don't see most of my text messages, whether on purpose or otherwise. And you can see the first couple of lines. This one starts, Mr. Diedrich, I received a summons, ... I was like, holy shit. She just texted me. I wasn't even sure if I'd open it. I didn't want it to disappear. I wanted to know what it said. You ever click on a notification and you just can't find what it was pointing to, but it seemed interesting at the time? That's what I thought was going to happen. So it starts like this. Mr. Diedrich.
I received a summons for a suit from a bank transaction. Sir, I just want to first apologize. I had no idea what was going on with my account. I was told that my account was being used to transfer funds from someone else's account who was paying me to use it. I didn't know she was stealing from you. I have proof of what was told to me as well, and I could send those if need be. But I was reaching out because I tried to stop the transactions the very first time I even changed my passwords. And Red River was no assistance. They told me I was responsible, but I had no idea this was going on. I didn't even receive $2,000. She gave me $700 to use my account. She told me she worked for Red River, that it was legit. Sir, I can't afford to go to court or pay any fines at the moment. I've never been in trouble in my life. I'm asking and begging you, please, please drop this suit so I can make payment arrangements with you or whatever needs to be done. I work, so it's not an issue. I get paid every 2 weeks. I'm also a hairstylist. I don't have what you're asking for on hand, but I definitely can pay every 2 weeks or a certain amount every month. I could start next week if needed. My name is Sharia Pfizer. And once again, I'm truly sorry, Mr. Diedrich. You can reach me at this number. And thank you for your time, and I hope you can find it in your heart to give me a chance to work this out.
I read this text message at least 10 times before I did anything. Apology, minimization, and a payment plan. This first message, it met all the requirements for a good apology. I'm sorry. It's my fault. What can I do to make it right? And I felt it there for a second. Forgiveness creeping up the back of my neck. My whole body finally unclenched. Just for a second. For a moment. Forgiveness shows up not as a decision, but as a wave. Warm, quiet, almost holy in how ordinary it is. Your jaw loosens, your chest makes room. The story in your head stops shouting long enough for you to feel something softer underneath. Grief, love, exhaustion, the part of you that doesn't want to carry this anymore. You think, maybe I can put it down. Maybe I'm done. But then, snap. Anger rushes right back, like a door slamming in a draft. One image, one sentence, one remembered little detail. And your nervous system hits the alarm again. The softness feels naive, the forgiveness feels unsafe, like you let your guard down in a place that taught you not to. Your mind grabs the evidence folder, starts flipping pages. Don't forget, don't excuse, and don't rewrite what happened. It's not just rage, though. It's protection. It's your brain trying to make sure you never get hurt that way again. The whiplash is brutal because it can make you feel fake. Was I forgiving? Or was I just tired? But it's usually neither hypocrisy nor failure. It's two real needs colliding. The need to be free and the need to be protected. So you bounce between relief and fire, light and heat. Like your heart takes a step forward and your survival instincts yank you back by the collar. I waited a long time before I answered, like an hour. And during the time in between, I just kept reading it over and over, thinking about all I thought that I knew about her. Through her snapshots on Facebook, pictures of her life, her online persona, and then what she did to me. And whatever feeling that was sneaking up on me, it faded. I read her message one last time and I thought, this isn't an apology. This isn't innocence. It was triage. I start typing. And that's when the next message came through. She said,
If you need screenshots, I can send those.
And right then I was back. You mean you want to send me more evidence? Fuck yes. So I erased whatever I started typing and I responded with this. I would love to see screenshots of the situation you just mentioned. And it didn't take long. Enrolled 8 screenshots. And as I'm analyzing what she just sent me, more texts keep rolling in. And at this point, I'm just really trying to keep her talking. Right now, I want as much information from her as I can get. So I ask, who's the person you're texting in these? And she answers,
Alondria Harper.
There were actually 2 people, but she didn't know the other girl's name. You see in the screenshots, you can see pictures of Sharia and Alondria's conversation. But also in the screenshots, you can see that Alondria was sending Sharia screenshots of a conversation she was having with someone else. And that's when I realized there was 3 players in this. It wasn't just Sharia. So I say, who's Alondria? Do you know her? Is she from Clarksdale? And Sharia replies,
In person, I know Alondria from school. And the other girl is Alondria's friend. And we talk on the phone as well.
Sharia then explains, as you can see,
my account was negative and mopped up. And then I sent them a picture of the summons I got this morning and they just left me hanging. She told me this money was coming from her own account. And she just needed to use mine to get it out. I know this is partially my fault for not asking enough questions, but honestly, I didn't know she'd be stealing.
So then I asked Sharia if Alondria was the one who worked at the bank, based on what she said in the first text. She says, no, sir, I think
your friend does. But so she said.
And I could see that Alondria had sent Sharia a screenshot from her friend. And I was beginning to buy into her story. just for a minute. Right up until she sent the screenshots. The truth is right there. In her direct conversation from Alondria, she was telling me one version, but the screen on my phone was bleeding with guilt based on what was inside the screenshots. She sends these screenshots. It's got names, instructions, the whole plan from the time she attached my account till they took out the money, till the bank froze it, and then she got the summons. Everything is in there, every step. Her reaction, what she was saying to Alondria, what Alondria was saying to her friend and passing back. So one name keeps repeating, right? Alondria Harper. Alondria has this one screenshot where she says to Sharia,
everybody else is attaching these accounts over the phone, and it only takes 2 days to add an external account. Don't wait for that shit. Just call them. Don't wait. We need this money.
She says,
we need this money.
Sharia says,
I'm finna do it on my phone, though. I got it enabled on my app.
You know what that looks like? They're trying to bypass the delay, trying to bypass the time it takes to get the account hooked up. Let's do this quick. They want to do it now. So she sends me a screenshot that has the email she received from Red River advising her that an external account has been attached to her account. And that one was mine, right? And the email says, security alert email, new external account requested. Sharia Pfizer, 10/16/2025 at 1:41 p.m. That was the opening of the gate. Because before you can steal $2,000, you got to lay the pipe. So Alondria responds to this email. Sharia took a picture of the email, sends it to Alondria. And Alondria responds, please don't mess
nothing up. You ain't got to do nothing else. Don't mess with that.
You know what that sentence is? That's control. That's not confusion. It's not help. It's control. Alondria's guiding Sharia exactly what to do next. Don't touch it. Don't call the bank. Don't fuck this up. Alondria sends Sharia a message. This is what it says.
She finished in the code. Yo, what's the code? Yo, Sharia, you getting these codes?
Sharia responds,
970-man53.
That's 2-factor. Handed off like a grocery total. Then, that was the 2-factor authorization code. That was the moment that the accounts were attached. The moment. Alondria responds back. She says, make sure. Alondria's friend sends Alondria a message. That friend says,
make sure they answer any calls from the bank.
And Alondria sends that to Sharia. And then Alondria also says to Sharia, she's going to
start transferring. The bank might call you. Tell them that you made a transfer for $2,000. And the money's going to hit tonight around 8.
Sharia said in her first text, she tried to shut this down as soon as she saw what was going on. As soon as she saw something weird in her account, she tried to shut this down. But right here in these fucking screenshots, you can see the coordination. All three of these people just working together. Hey, pay attention. Here it comes. The next screenshot says, Sharia, it hit. Go on and start transferring. And Sharia responds, I'm going to send it to you. And then you see how they do the technique. Sharia sent this to me. I can't believe she sent this to me. The next 2 screenshots are 5 Apple Pay transactions. And it's 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, and then 1 for 3. So that's $1,300, right? In the original text from Sharia, she said she only got 700. Well, they took 2,000. She sends 1,300 to Alondria. So yeah, she got paid 700. She was allowed to keep $700 of the 2,000 she received. You can see clearly that the second request, the second transfer from my account to her account for another $2,000 went in, and then she sends a screenshot to Alondria and it shows that her account has been locked. Suddenly, she can't log into her account. She gets this notification. And you can see where she tried to send the next day $200, but it will not work. She can't send any more money. The app notice says this login is currently outdated. This is from Red River. She tried to send the Apple Pay money, right? Gets shut down. So then she tries to log into her Red River account, and the login screen says this login ID is currently disabled. I didn't know it at that point. I didn't know what was happening behind the scenes. But when I reached out to Red River, they closed Sharia's account. And that's why she's having trouble at this point in the screenshots. Obviously, I can't see this in real time. So Sharia sends the screenshot to Alondria, showing her that her account's locked. And she captions it. She goes,
I just called. They said it's locked. They said I got to talk to the front department tomorrow morning.
And Alondria replies back, no, the fuck you don't. That's Alondria's now. Like, she thinks she's in control of how the bank's going to work and what Sharia needs to do. That's obstruction, right? That's someone preventing contact with one department designed to stop exactly what they were doing. So when Sharia says, I got to talk to the fraud department in the morning, and Alondria says, no, the fuck you don't, that's Alondria like, don't you dare go and say a word about this. But Sharia responds, my account's locked. It's in the negative. Alondria says, why? How do you know it's in the negative? Sharia goes, I called them, and they want me to come in and talk to the fraud department. And then Alondria goes, you should be able to get in even if it's negative. Your transfer should still work. Sharia says, I can't
get in anything. Nothing is working.
And then the next day, Sharia goes to the bank, and you heard that part of the story. She goes to the bank. She tries to fix it. The bank asks her a lot of questions that she's really uncomfortable answering, and then she just folds, and she tells the bank what's going on. Then Alondria texts Sharia the next day. She sent me all these fucking screenshots. I don't think she realized just how much evidence she shared with me. And the whole time I'm getting these screenshots and these texts from Sharia, I'm forwarding them in real time to Lieutenant Sledge. Like, the county sheriff detective is getting this as I'm getting this. And I have a side conversation going on with him. And I had to be real careful to make sure I was sending the right text to the right people. Kind of screwed myself doing that before. Sharia gets back. There's some text that I can't see. That you could see where they were sending voice messages back to each other. And I don't know what the voice messages would say. And Alondria says to Sharia, what did they ask you when you talked to them?
What did they want to know? What did you say?
And that last line, that was a giveaway. She was trying to gather intelligence. What did the bank ask? What do they know? What did you say? And that's not innocence. That's her. It's her preparing countermeasures. So I ask, after I'm examining these screenshots and coming to these conclusions based on the conversation that I can see, I said, so you know her in person. I said, does she work at the bank? Does Alondria work at the bank? She goes, no, she doesn't. She thinks her friend does. I said, do you know her friend? Have you ever met her friend? I said, you all live in that same town. Do you know each other? She goes, I don't know who her friend is. So then I said, where did the money go? My 2,000. Where did my 2,000 go? She says, she texted this, not after I could see it. She said, I
paid it to Alondria. I only got to keep 700.
And then she says,
she connects the accounts herself, and she got me access.
So I repeated, are you sure she doesn't work at the bank? And she goes, I think her friend
does, but I'm not sure.
Paid to use the account. She described the mechanics. The co-conspirator has been named. And then Sharia texts me again. And she goes,
I thought the money was hers. Like I mentioned before, I ain't even never had a ticket.
So I said, what did Alondria do with the money you sent her? And Sharia says,
Alondria said she had to split it with the other girl. So I guess she kept half?
And then I try to keep her on the hook. And I say, Sharia, I really need to think about this. This is a wild thing you got yourself involved with. And frankly, it doesn't even make no sense. Why would a bank employee hit up Alondria to go find someone's account to use to get her own money out of the same bank she works at? And then this mystery girl that you don't know who maybe works at the bank, she's going to split her own money up 3 ways. And you guys are going to take $2,000 a day until it's gone. Who the fuck would give away 2/3 of their own money if it's actually their own money? Sharia, I think it's crazy. And Sharia, I think it's bullshit. So Sharia answers, right? This is what she says.
Well, I know it's not just your account she's hacking.
You do? I'm thinking to myself, oh, you do? So I respond. I said, I'm sure it isn't. How many times have you guys done this before? And she goes, I don't know.
Too many.
Too many. I ask her if she thinks Alondria is going to give her the money back. And Sharia says, they're really not
that tight. And besides, Alondria is out partying and buying car parts. So she probably ain't got none left.
So what Sharia's sending me these texts as I'm asking her these questions. I'm analyzing the screenshots, but I'm also looking up Alondria Harper. Who the fuck is Alondria Harper? And these texts are going a lot slower than I'm reading them. I'm taking a little time in between, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So this goes on for like an hour and a half. And little does Sharia know, I find Alondria Harper. Because on social media, her name is Alondria Harper. Thank God. It wasn't hidden in Truthfinder and public records. So I find Alondria. And then I find Alondria's TikTok. And I'm scrolling TikTok. I'm just looking for clues. I don't know what I'm looking for, to be honest with you. I'm just looking. And then there on Alondria's TikTok is a video. You know, like a montage of pictures. And the caption reads, "Sometimes home is your sister." And the video is a montage of photographs of Alondria and Sharia doing shots at a bar, hanging out in a car, chilling in a parking lot somewhere. But they're really not that tight. So I get a text from Sledge at this point, and he says this.
He goes, I'm just going to call her and see if she'll turn herself in. She's obviously on the phone when they see if she picks up.
10 minutes goes by, and then Sharia sends me her last text. Well, what she thought was going to be her last text. She says, this will be my
last time contacting you. Thanks for listening.
And I knew what happened. She answered the detective's call. And I answered her with probably sounded like psychic powers. And I say, tell the detective the truth, and I'm sure things will go better for you than trying to lie your way out of this. And don't let Alondria hang you out to dry. Remember in Act 2, I said, when someone steals from me, they don't get a sermon. They get a summons. Well, I guess I lied a little bit. I sent her one last text. I said, Sharia, I believe about 90% of your story, and it's human nature to minimize our responsibility when something goes wrong. We all do it. And then we try to pass the blame to someone else. And in this case, there is definitely someone to blame. 3 someones. But here's the truth. No one with access to $2,000 a day of their own money is going to split it 3 ways to transfer it out of their own account. No one gives away 2/3 of their own money like that. Everyone knew from jump the money was stolen from someone else. And everybody thought it ain't no big deal. They'll get it back and we'll be good. But you did know. And you admitted it when you said, my account isn't the only one that she's hacking. And if you're honest with the lieutenant about all the players, it's your best route. Because right now, 100% of the evidence the cops have, it falls on you alone. And that was it. I never heard from Sharia again. She never heard from me. So let me go over this timeline real quick. If you guys have listened to the first 3 acts, you've probably gotten tired of this boring cadence, but I like to piece it all together. It keeps me straight. So October 16th, this is everything I gathered out of the screenshots and the text messages. October 16th, a new external account was requested at Red River. Their do not disturb was turned off on Sharia's phone. October 17th, the micro deposits on my account, they confirm this link. October 20th, answer the bank, verify the $2,000. The money's going to hit tonight. Here's my Cash App handle, $Alondria25. They didn't end up using Cash App because she only had Apple Pay. October 21st, $2,000 comes out. Alondria sends it away, sends $1,300 away, $200 at a time. October 22nd, second $2,000 attempt, and then she gets locked out. She tells Alondria, I got to talk to fraud. Alondria says, no, the fuck you don't. The second attempt collapses. And then the last screenshot was a picture sent to Alondria of the summons that she received for me filing the civil complaint. And that's how she got my name and my phone number and the details of what the civil suit was about. I explained it really clear in my subpoena. She sends it to Alondria and Alondria's friend, whoever that is, and says, any of you get this? Alondria says, the fuck is that? Sharia says,
I'm getting sued by the guy whose money we stole.
And Alondria never answered her again. She probably has at this point. So like I said, the entire time that Sharia was texting me, I'm forwarding it all to Lieutenant Sledge. I talked to him that morning. I had nothing to do with the paperwork. Or I had nothing to do with the text messages that I was just getting. But I wanted to see what he was doing with the warrant. I talked to him that morning. He said him and his partner stopped by our house, and the judge signed the warrant. He entered it in the system. He tried to execute it, but the knock went unanswered. He said there was nobody there. So when Sharia sent, this will be the last time I'm contacting you. Thanks for listening. I knew she had just spoken to him. He texted me right before she sent that message, and this is what his text said.
She's coming in tomorrow at 8 o'clock to turn herself in. We'll see.
So the next morning, about 10 a.m., after showing tremendous willpower not to call him at 8, 8:05, 8:10, 8:15, I did call him, and he didn't answer. And I thought that must be a good sign. He must be busy doing what he said he was going to do. And about an hour later, I get this message from Sledge.
She's in custody, Fred. Good work. We seized both her phones, and she flipped out Andrea. We got her from here. We won't stand for this and call home the county.
Other exchanges him and I shared, they were just logistics. Check-ins, evidence timing, bring everything you have, coordination notes. What mattered is that the line stayed open and active. You know, open lines change behavior. People who think no one's watching push faster. And people who know someone's watching stop. There's the cost you can count. $2,000, $400 in gas receipts, 1,500 miles on a lost Saturday. But then there's the cost that you don't put on paper. Dignity in the bank lobby when they tell you you're crazy, this is normal, it's just a mistake. The thin look a teller gives you when you say fraud. The way your hands shake when you're trying to pull up the screenshots of your bank account, showing them what you know is going to happen. Crime markets itself like a coupon. Easy money, no risk. But the fine print is printed on your character. You pay with your future self. You know, a conviction has far-reaching, long-lasting effects on a person's life and character.
Criminologists call it neutralization. The stories we tell to shrink the harm. Everybody does it. They won't miss it. The bank will refund it. But every story leaves a fingerprint, and every fingerprint is a date stamp on who you became.
Anonymity is just cosplay. You don't vanish online. You multiply. Your name tries a different mask, but your patterns keep saying hello. Like the way you type, the things you share, those 3 little dots you put at the end of every sentence. You may be able to hide behind a fake name, Rebecca Banks, but you talk just like Sharia Pfizer. You know, what you steal most isn't money. It's your ability to believe you're still the person you told your mother you were. You end up paying a personal cost that comes from failing to live up to your own moral standards. The internet, not the people of the internet, but the internet, the mechanics of the internet, loved this case more than it loved me. Sharia's laid by CC hair braid page. Chiquita Pfizer's tagging her daughter on her high school diploma. Their Facebook screen names that kind of match their real names. And that laid by CC business plug right there on Rebecca Banks' page with an address. These were dots that you did not have to stretch a string along to connect. They were just right there, one after the other. And I didn't need a warrant for these open source links. I didn't need a warrant to see your Facebook page. I needed time, coffee, and patience.
Public posts connected Rebecca Banks to Sharia Pfizer via relatives, children's names, and the hair braiding brand, laid by CC, as captured in screenshots already entered into the record. These are contextual breadcrumbs, not verdicts, but they point the same direction.
Facts don't need makeup. They just need sequence. You give them an order, and they give you back a story that a judge can't ignore. But in the end, there was no fireworks, no parade, just a hum after thunder when you realize the house is still standing, and a mugshot. I got the mugshot.
October 29th, 2025. Coahoma County arrests Sharia Simo and Pfizer. Evidence packets, emails, banking artifacts, social links, and a man on a mission led to her and her co-conspirators.
I want to step sideways for a minute, out of the affidavits and into what the pattern suggests. What I'm about to say is just informed speculation based on the messages, the timing, and how the schemes usually work. It's not new evidence, but it's the human shape around the facts we already have. I really just want to know how the scam worked. How did they find me?
Recruitment in small communities often starts with opportunity disguised as a favor. A friend of a friend, a cousin's girlfriend, a client from a side hustle. The pitch is casual, low friction. I'll give you a little cut if I can use your account for a day. The promise, easy money, no risk. The hook, it's just a transfer.
Picture the first conversation. No scripts, just confidence. Maybe it's tied to real life. Maybe it was at a hair appointment. Maybe they were picking their kids up from school. Maybe running errands. They were in person. That buys trust. I'm talking about Sharia and Alondria. Alondria says they may have a friend at the bank. Maybe she just has a friend or someone who she knows. And maybe working at the bank was some sort of fictional symbol of authority that makes the pitch sound safe. The pitch she was about to give Sharia. She says something like, look.
Well, it takes a couple days. We just got to add this external account. You can flip this money. Just keep your phone on and don't ignore any phone numbers. It's real easy.
And this sounds familiar because we saw the pieces later. We saw it in the screenshots.
Recruitment in small communities often starts with opportunity disguised as a favor. A friend of a friend, a cousin's girlfriend, a client from a side hustle. The pitch is casual, low friction. I'll give you a little cut if I can use your account for a day. The promise, easy money, no risk. The hook, it's just a transfer.
She probably says to Sharia, I do this all the time. It's easy money. No one gets in trouble. Nobody gets hurt. The bank be paying people back anyway. And if Alondria is the tap, she sits at the intersection. She's got social credibility on one side. She knows Sharia. She got lots of Facebook friends. But then she has this hacker on the other side. She could tell her friend it's normal, and then tell the black hat hacker, I got a new account we can use. You know, the language in those texts, the timed hits, the code relays, don't talk to fraud instructions, the cash out handle, it just reads like a pipeline. And here is that pipeline. 1, it's upstream, stolen credentials, they need local hands. The broker, a social node, recruits the account holders, and then runners, people paid to use their accounts. The playbook, capture the 2-factor authentication, rehearse the verification, chop the amounts up in little pieces that can't be tracked or won't raise any flags, and then funnel it out via Cash App or Apple Cash. It's fragmented and then it's gone. And this stuff doesn't require genius. It just requires 3 traits: proximity, process, and plausibility. Everybody's doing it. So how does Sharia step onto that conveyor belt? Opportunity meets need.
If there's a larger operator, the shoulder tap looks like outsourcing risk. You never touch the wire. You teach someone to touch it for you. You don't get recorded saying steal. You say verify. You don't say launder. You say send me $200. And it works until it doesn't. The same scripts that make it feel normal are the ones that date stamp the pattern. The same help that calms nerves is what proves the conspiracy. It's the cheapest trick in social engineering. Make the wrong thing feel like it belongs.
Small cut today solves a small problem today. And the cost of what she does stays invisible. You don't normally feel it until the summons shows up. Some people steal because they want. Some because they can. Some because they think the world owes them a favor. And while the thief counts their money, nobody counts the cost of what they take from themselves. If you've made it this far, you already know all the facts. But what you might not know, and what nobody tells you, is what happens after the cuffs. Because after the arrest, after the phones get seized, after you get that text that feels like sunlight through the storm clouds, you think you're done. And then the system reminds you, no, you're not done. You're just next in line. People think justice is a moment, a gavel, a headline, a pair of cuffs. But most of the time, justice is just a process, a slow, bureaucratic animal that only eats when you keep feeding it. Believe me, the process isn't hungry. It's force-fed. And I learned something important. You can win the facts and still lose weeks to silence.
This is a procedural update. Case activity continues beyond the arrest phase. Civil court filings, subpoena requests, and clerk communications may extend timelines despite an established factual record.
Here's where the story changes flavor a little bit. Because the villain isn't always a mastermind. Sometimes the villain is a mailbox that never answers. And a clerk's office, a Justice County court clerk's office that treats urgency like rudeness. I was stuck in a loop of send this, pay that, resend it, wait again. It's not dramatic. It's exhausting. I had that civil case open for one reason. And it wasn't revenge. It wasn't for a payday. That civil case was a crowbar. Because sometimes the only way to pry cooperation out of a system is to use its own rules, like leverage. So I did what you do when you're outmatched. I read, I filed, I paid, I followed up. I did the whole thing like it was a second job, with no pay, just headache. And during that process, I met the real final boss. The price of subpoena email chain. And that's not a metaphor. That was the literal subject line. The price of subpoena. Sounded like a Western. rated PG for language and emotional damage. Those emails went a little something like this. Pursuant to Rule 45A, subpoena issuance, records only, fees, forms, resend, wait. It's a vocabulary built to keep normal people out, not because it's evil, because it's old. And most old systems assume that you'll just get tired. They'll assume that you'll quit.
Multiple communications reflect ongoing attempts to secure subpoena issuance. Delays and repeat requests for fees and forms are consistent with administrative friction, not necessarily case weakness.
But that friction, the friction that I met during this entire process, this one in particular had a voice. And sometimes it wasn't even what was said, it was how it was said. Did you ever get an email that's technically professional, but spiritually petty? Yeah. This is where Tyranda enters the story. And Tyranda types like the caps key fell off her keyboard years ago. Big, fat, capital letters. Now let me be clear. I'm not mad at the court for being a court. I'm mad at the part where the process pretends it doesn't see you until you get loud enough to be inconvenient. When you're a victim, you're expected to have perfect patience while the machine treats urgency like a personal insult. So I did what people do when they hit the wall. I pushed a little harder, and I started to document the non-responsiveness. I saved the receipts, I tracked the dates, I kept the thread alive. And when the clerk's office turned the subpoena request into a loop, pay this, resend that, wait again, repeat, I filed the one thing that tells the system I'm not going away. You're not going to believe it. For this tiny case, I had to figure out and learn and then file a motion to compel with the judge to compel the court clerk to file the case and issue the subpoena.
Motion to compel. A formal request asking the court to order action when voluntary compliance or administrative progress has stalled.
You want to know what that feels like? It feels like you're being forced to become your own attorney just to be taken seriously as your own victim. It feels like learning the system's language because the system refuses to learn your pain. And the wild part, you start to understand why most people just don't fight. It's not because they're weak. It's because the process is designed like a treadmill and there's no off switch. At one point I realized I'm not just investigating a fraud case. I'm investigating Coahoma County's bureaucratic process. And bureaucracy never steals your money fast. It steals your time slow. It steals your energy in installments. 2 emails today, maybe none tomorrow. 3 calls the next day. 1 more, please resend. Makes your soul roll its eyes. But I keep going because there was still one name sitting in the center of this pattern, like a spider web, and it was Alondria Harper. I'm not guessing about her role. I have the threads. I have her Cash App handle. I have all the coaching language. Answer the back. The money hits tonight. Start transferring. No, the fuck you don't. I'm not guessing she was involved. I know she's involved. She steered the ship. So I put a line out in the water, hoping I'd get something. I sent a motion to compel the court to subpoena Alondria to the civil case on December 10th. Not because I wanted drama, but because I wanted daylight. Because the lies will die when the room gets bright.
Witness subpoena issued. Objective. Compel appearance and testimony related to coordination, recruitment, and transfer routing.
And here's where I'm going to tell you the truth about the ending. An arrest feels like an ending until you realize it's just another beginning, because the scheme wasn't born inside one person. The scheme is a pipeline. It's a pattern. It's a little black economy of temptation and excuses. And Sharia wasn't the architect. She was the bag the hands, the account. She was the face that got served the papers. And once she realized she was holding the bag, she panicked. And that's why she messaged me. That's why she offered me payments. And that's why she tried to shrink the story into something survivable. But I'm going to say this clean for the record. I dismissed the civil suit. I dismissed it because I was made whole financially. Red River made it right. Red River sent my money back. And once I no longer had a financial claim, I knew it wasn't right to keep the civil case alive and on life support just to satisfy my anger. I'm not interested in false pretense. I was interested in the truth. And the truth doesn't need a fake reason to keep breathing.
Civil claim dismissed following restitution. Criminal focus remains on accountability and conspiracy. Victim states intent to pursue additional conspirator based on message evidence.
Real quick about one line that Lieutenant Sledge said to me over the phone, and it sticks like a thorn. In one breath, he'd said he'd pursue it. He'd pursue Alondria. And then in the very next sentence, he said, you know,
you'll never stop this type of crime.
And he's right. But here's what people misunderstand about that statement. You don't stop it globally, but you can stop it locally. You can stop it in one county, one courtroom, in one phone seizure, one girl who thought she was invisible, until a summons showed up like a mirror. You make the cost higher than the coupon had promised. Because the real currency here was never $2,000. It was belief. Belief that you could do it and stay clean. Belief that the bank will fix it and no one will look too close. The belief that everybody else is doing it, making it normal. The belief that your anonymity is armor. But you don't vanish online. You multiply. Your name tries on mask, but your pattern says hello. And every time you hit send, you leave a fingerprint that doesn't care what you meant. The way you type, and the fact that you share the same shit every time will expose you. Fraud isn't just theft. It's a personality. It's a way of talking, a way of minimizing, a way of keeping your conscience on mute while you do loud things. Just answer the bank. Just read the code. Just send 200. Just don't talk to fraud. Just. That word should be illegal, because just is how people turn felonies into errands. The courtroom friction, that was just a different kind of theft. It steals momentum. It steals emotional closure. It forces the victim to perform competence just to stay in the room. But I kept the receipts. I kept the receipts. I kept the chain. I kept the timeline alive. Because if there's anything I learned in this whole mess, justice doesn't show up on time, but it does respond to pressure.
Administrative friction documented, repeated fee discussions, issuance delays, and follow-up communications. Motion to compel filed to force procedural action.
And yeah, sometimes the friction is petty. Sometimes it's the caps lock on. Sometimes it's tone. Sometimes it's a message that says, I'm technically helping you, while the subtext says, don't make me do my job. But I'm built a little different. I roast coffee for a living. That's literally pressure and heat. So if the system wants pressure, I'm fluent. Here's the final truth. This is the final cup, the part I want you to taste. The story ends, for now, with an arrest. That's the ending that we get tonight. Not because the world is fixed, not because the crime is gone, and not because the fraud pipeline is dead, but because for once, the machine moved, even if it was just a little bit. A person answered the phone. A detective looked me in the eye. 2 affidavits were signed. 2 phones were seized. And the mask slipped far enough for a set of handcuffs to find skin. As for Alondria, I'm not finished. Not because I'm obsessed, but because the record exists. When she gave her Cash App handle, told Sharia don't fucking talk to the fraud department. When she said the money hits tonight at 8. When she said start transferring, we need this money. It's not a vibe, it was a playbook. And playbooks get people hurt until somebody finally prints them out and calls them what they are.
Authorities indicate continued pursuit is possible, but caution that fraud typologies persist. Victim emphasizes local accountability and evidence-based identification of additional conspirator.
I used to think closure was a feeling. Now I think closure is a file folder. Tabbed, dated, stamped, and heavy enough to make someone pay attention when it lands on the desk. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt that cold, stupid panic of realizing someone reached into your life through a wire, hear me. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. Keep the screenshots, keep the dates, keep the names, keep the pressure. Because the truth won't organize itself. But when you do, it will start walking on its own. With every cup, every word, every click, we are just one sip closer to the end.